I'd like to start with a question for the church nerds in the audience this morning. Who spotted the mistake in the bulletin? Oh, nobody? So, okay, the collect for the day is not, in fact, so the collect is the prayer that the prayer book says we are supposed to pray at the beginning of the service, and we cycle through different prayers across the year. This is not the collect for the second Sunday of Epiphany. This is the collect for the second Sunday after Christmas. We probably had what I've heard called versionitis, which is to say, as we were producing the bulletin, we just copied and pasted from a previous week, and so the second Sunday after Christmas stuck around in here. This is a little bit of a holy coincidence, however, because this is possibly my favorite collect anywhere in the prayer book. It sort of might say everything you need to know about faith. O God, who wonderfully created, but wait for this next part, and yet more wonderfully restored the dignity of human nature, grant that we may share the divine life of him who humbled himself to share our humanity, your Son, Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. It's a creation and restoration. And I'd like to wonder a little bit about how that might dovetail into our encounter with John this morning. Thank you for this little accident, Microsoft Word. Every time I encounter this story about John the Baptist, I am struck by what seems to me to be the tension within it, the paradox within it, the two things happening at once within it. So the first thing is that in this moment, John has achieved the culmination of his life's work. So his calling is to proclaim the Messiah, is to proclaim the coming of the Anointed One, the Lamb of God, the one who ranks ahead of him because he came before him. So there's this preparing of the way. And at long last, who knows how many years he's been waiting for this moment. Well, if he's the same age as Jesus, roughly 30 years he's been waiting for this moment, preparing all of his life. And at long last, he's recognized the Messiah, recognized the Christ among us, and it turns out it's his cousin, Jesus, and there is this jubilation as not only he recognizes Jesus, but as the Anointed One, but other people do as well. It's hard to be a prophet when you see something and other people don't, but in this case, and not everyone recognizes Jesus as the Christ, but John's disciples do. And so John says, there goes the Lamb of God, and the disciples say, yeah, that's right, and they follow. So triumph, right? This is the thing I always wanted to happen, and now it's happening. So jubilation, joy, delight, what have you. But also, John says, here's the Lamb of God, and his disciples leave him and follow Jesus. So at the end of John's part of this story, he's left all alone. He is left by himself. There is, right beside the triumph, there is this loneliness. He is suddenly by himself back in the wilderness. He used to have disciples, now he doesn't anymore. The text doesn't say why John doesn't join the disciples in following Jesus, but my guess is that he knows that when the president or the executive director leaves an organization, the president or the executive director can't then go be an employee of the organization. That's impossible for the new president or executive director to have the old one hanging around. And I suspect that John knows something similar, that he, having had disciples, he can't go hang out with his former disciples as they follow Jesus. This would be impossible. So he does what he must and waits as the disciples leave. And there's the sadness for him in being left by himself in the wilderness. This is what I always wanted. Why do I feel so alone in this moment? And I want to suggest that this is an archetypal moment that we're encountering here. Or if that's too highfalutin a word, I know there's at least one youngie in here, so maybe archetypal is fine, John. But if it's too highfalutin a word, it's a deeply human moment. I want to suggest that all of us know the paradox, or both andness, is that the right turn of phrase, of getting this thing we wanted and having jubilation live right beside sadness. This happens if you've sent a child away to college. How many years are involved in getting ready to send a child away to college? It's the culmination of at least 18 years of sometimes intense work, and you load up the station wagon. Maybe that's a dated example. What do kids drive away in today? Hatchbacks. I have hand-me-down Priuses. You load up the car, and away it drives, and you've done it. You've done it. This is a parenting win, and now you go back into this suddenly empty house, and it is sad. Or what about the counselors on the last day of summer camp? So they get everybody in the bus, and everyone's had the best summer everywhere, and they're all promising to stay in touch with one another. I will not forget you. And away drives the bus. There's 100 bottles of beer on the wall, and the counselors are left by themselves to button things down, and they've nailed all their goals, and it's sad. Or one I know a lot about from my time in stage management, closing night. Oh my goodness. Your run has been a triumph. All of these people came, they were changed. There's this joy. You somehow pulled it off, like when you were first rehearsing. You didn't think you could get that many microphones to work at the same time, and they did. And now you put away the costumes and you tear in the set, and it's empty. Jubilation and sadness, just there they are together. As a kid and a young person, I noticed that at weddings, I noticed there were people crying. And so I was curious. I couldn't understand why there were people crying at weddings. And so I may have asked someone why they were crying at the wedding. And what the canonical answer to that question is. What does someone say when you ask why they're crying at a wedding? I'm just so happy. The tears are coming down. Sometimes it's between sobs. I'm just so happy, right? And they're telling the truth. They are telling the truth. But what do they say in the witness stand? It's the truth. It's nothing but the truth, but it's not the whole truth. And maybe there's just no explaining to, I don't know how old I was asking that question. Maybe there's no explaining to a 12-year-old what the fullness is of the reason why you're crying in that moment. Yeah, you're crying because you're so happy, but you're also crying because time is passing. Unequivocally, in a moment like that, you know that time is passing, because a wedding is a beginning, but it is also an ending. If you are a parent in that moment, there's childhood is pretty much unequivocally over. I mean, it was over before, but it's unequivocally over in that moment. There's this shifting of relationships. Maybe you have seen some of those staggering promises that the couple made to one another lived out by couples who've been married decades. I don't know, who is it who said of weddings that we spend all this time fretting about the flowers, and we really should be saying, they promised each other what? Like, Those are like, we're going to stay together until one of us dies. Oh my God. Like, that's staggering stuff. There's reason to cry at a wedding. Jubilation right beside sadness, right beside endings. You got what you wanted. You're sad anyway. If that's right, if we're encountering something like this in John today, jubilation and sadness at once, meeting your goal and being sad about it in the same place. How many more examples could we plug in? I suspect retirement might be like that, something you work towards for a long, long time. And then there's this moment where you say, oh, wow, like I'm not going to come into this office again or this workplace or what have you. Lots more examples. If that's right, what should we say to John this morning as he stands in the wilderness, elated and bereft simultaneously? Well, maybe we could start by saying it's okay to be both these things at once. I think often, and maybe this is part of what was behind my question at age 12, we kind of want people to just be unequivocally happy. And so we can end up like challenging or pushing or saying, but this is what you wanted. You should be, there's a word, should. You should be happy in this moment. And what if we just said, actually, it's okay to be feeling some deep ambivalence on an occasion like this one? Perhaps we know John is a person of prayer. Perhaps we can offer prayer to John. There's something meaningful in knowing that people are remembering you and holding you in the light and offering love to you in that way. Perhaps we can avoid attempting to offer consolation prizes to John. Brene Brown, who, as an Episcopalian, I'm required to quote at least 3 times a year, says that there's no genuine empathy begins with the 2 words "at least." That if you're actually empathetic, you do not begin a sentence with "at least." At least you can have another baby, right? At least you're still young. At least, I don't know, what else could we add to that list? Just that's the enemy of empathy, actually, to start with "at least." So we're not going to say, well, at least, John, at least you got to proclaim the Messiah. Yeah, he did. And now there's this loneliness. And maybe this is where we're going to get back to the accident in the leaflet. John has been created, as you and I have been created, and there comes moments when we need to be restored. And this is perhaps a moment where John needs restoration. And we can participate with God in offering that to him by showing up, by offering prayer, by allowing him to be lost, maybe by telling our own stories of times when jubilation and sadness have hung out together in our own lives. There was, I don't know if this is a digression, but I'm going to go there anyway. There was a meme a while back that said, when someone tells you something hard, normalize not telling a story of your own when that happens. And I thought about that, and I thought I get where this is going, but I'm not actually sure I entirely agree. I think don't tell a story if what you're doing is trying to pull focus onto your own experience, or if you're trying to minimize someone else's experience. It's not helpful to say, that hurt you have, that's nothing. I've got a bigger hurt. This is not empathetic. But I've actually found it quite helpful when folks in moments like this have told stories to me about their own experiences where joy and sadness have intersected. I thought, oh wow, this is a human thing. I'm not alone in having this experience. there's something actually about that storytelling that might be restoring in nature. So maybe this is what we can do for John in this weird moment, this deeply human or archetypal moment where jubilation and loss or sadness are hanging out in the same place. We can show up with him and we can be jubilant together. We can be lonely together. And in so doing, we can join in with God in restoring something human.